I got my friend here.
You do.
So, hello.
Hello.
Now, Tamsyn, what is your full name?
Tamsyn L'argent.
And so I'm of course Volk, His Lordship Volk the Grey. Hello. And this is my helper for this this interview. And I'm here with Tamsyn. Say that again. I'm horrible. Anyway, we're here to talk about her and Caliport and Yule and yes. So let's talk about you first. What got you into the SCA?
I was 17 and was told, hey, there's this medieval thing going on this weekend. You should go. I'll loan you a tent. So a bunch of us showed up, and it was a much gentler time in the world when they did not check ID at gate. And I was hooked. That was Mayfair 96.
Wow. You were 17.
Yes.
Yes. 17 years old, sneaking into the door. Anyway.
So. Hey, I paid.
Okay, you paid. Sorry, you paid. Mayfair, where was that at? Mayfair 96.
That was at the Thurston County Fairgrounds.
And what prompted you to go? So was there an interest in the previous before you went to there? Was there a, gee, I'd like to see this and what's going on with it?
I'd been to a couple of Renaissance fairs when I was a kid. I've always had an interest in history. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons when I was about 3. There was always a geek there, and this was just another outlet for it.
Awesome. Well, before we get too far, I want to point out that this is a temporary sign, but you can see the L does exist.
As does the Y.
As does the Y does exist. So we're not Glymm Mere, we are Glymm Mere. So yes, Glymm Mere. So yes. Anyway, there will be a more permanent sign that is temporary, but live in Glymm Mere. Yes. Anyway, so 96, you were 17, had gone to rent fairs, and there was this SCA thing that popped up. Someone said, hey, I'll let you borrow a tent.
I'd never been camping before.
How long have you lived in the Pacific Northwest?
Since about 95.
Okay.
Before that, I was out of the country. Otherwise, I probably would have found the SCA sooner.
Okay. Sorry, as a person who was camping before they were talking, it's just like, okay, but that's cool. But suddenly you were camping. How was their first event?
My first event was a blast, as opposed to my second event, which got rained out, but we stayed anyway.
Now there is a true Cascadian, don't you think? I agree. So there is a true Cascadian. Neither rain nor snow nor dark of night shall bother us to keep us from having a good time. Anyway,
my second event was a June fair that the Erics were so flooded they canceled heavy fighting and had a mud wrestling tournament instead.
missed that. Okay, so we have it was a great time. You had a blast. Went to June fair, May fair, then June fair. What is it that kept you coming back?
I love the people. I show up and I see people I haven't seen in maybe years. And we pick up the same conversation we were having last time. It's like no time has passed. We're right there. And it feels like family. You know, granted, it's like family. So there's always that one creepy relative over there. And there's that one that you really don't want to talk to over there. But they're still family.
You know, that's one of the things that keeps me as well is the I haven't been playing as long. I wish I could say I had. And when I was talking to Dame Goran, I said the exact same thing. Boy, I wish I had been playing. I wish I had known about the SCA. I wish I had started in the SCA back then. But either way, people, the people. That's a very important part of the SCA for sure. Now, fast forward a bit to, were you always living in Grays Harbor?
No. Other than driving through on the way to the beach, I had never been to Grays Harbor until 9 years ago when I bought a house here. I was living in
Okay, I
San
understand
Diego.
that.
I had a long weekend to fly up and house hunt, and real estate agent said, "Hey, how do you feel about Grays Harbor County?" I don't know. Let's go look.
Now I understand that. Now, but wait, let me back up a bit. I understand that you and Her Excellency have a bit of history.
We went to high school together.
That's cool. there. So you knew somebody. Small world. You go to high school with someone. The next thing you know, they're your Baroness and you're the Seneschal of the Shire or the Canton. I basically gave you a little bit of an upgrade there. So of the Canton. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. So let's you're in Grays Harbor. When did you get into Grays Harbor?
Middle of December, 9 years ago this year.
Okay. And did you actively play? I mean, did you actively play in the SCA in Grays Harbor?
I actually didn't get terribly involved for the first year because I was getting married that summer, and that's a lot of work.
That
But
is a lot of work. Yes.
as soon as the wedding was over, I decided I was getting back into the local SCA and started looking around, seeing who I could meet in the area. It turned out I knew a few people out here, and it just grew from there. Got back into being more involved with the barony.
I would say so. So, what prompted you to get involved with the creation of the Canton?
I was meeting people out here who wanted to be more involved in the SCA, but for whom driving to Olympia or Lacey every week was just too much. They didn't have the time or the resources, and I wanted to make it more accessible, and I had an opportunity to step into the position. So I decided that was something that I could do to help.
And how many years ago was that?
Mm. Let's see. That's been
At least
four,
yeah,
5, somewhere thereabouts.
yeah. Because I was a deputy seneschal when you of Glymm when you stepped up as the seneschal of Caliport, and then when I became seneschal of Glymm, you were still the seneschal of Caliport, and you still are the seneschal of Caliport. Now
I have a deputy.
you have a deputy. Now, for those of you my our viewing audience, understand that the usual the usual time a seneschal sits as seneschal is 2 years with 1 year extension. The reason Tamsyn has been sitting as seneschal for so long is the canton is incipient, meaning it has not been completely uh, recognized. Once it becomes completely recognized, then she only can sit on there for 2 years. So, but I imagine you probably wouldn't mind taking a step back once that happens.
At the end of the 2 years, I am going to be more than happy to hand it over to my deputy, who has told me that I am not allowed to hand it to him before that because the baby is still too young and his wife will kill him.
Absolutely. That would be bad.
Yes. Then I would need a new deputy.
Then you would need a new deputy. So now, the canton. Tell our wonderful viewing audience about the canton of Caliport.
Well, we're Grays Harbor County, which is pretty much McCleary to the coast. We have a very active rapier community. We've got archers, we've got dancers. When we're allowed to have activities, we do dance practices once a month. We've got arts and sciences. We're looking at hosting an event, probably not next year because I'm not going to fight to get on the calendar with everything going on.
So I would say that until we are able again to meet in person, there is a bit of a wait, a pause, if you will, just as everything else has been paused. It's a tough call. It's a tough call, but it had to be made, and we will see what happens after January 31st.
We had some folks out here interested in running an event in the late summer, but again, it's been such a hectic year this year with everything that next year there was concern the calendar is going to be insane. And trying to get people to a new event in a new branch is iffy from the beginning, even in a normal year.
Right. And yeah, it's you could definitely hold I think the demo ideas need to continue. I know that uh, that's something that I think that should be personally should be one of the first things out of the box is demos to tell people, hey, we're still here. I want you to know, welcome to the SCA. We still exist.
I agree. And we've got a wonderful public location for fighter practices.
Yep.
So
Very
that'll
nice.
get some attention.
Yep. Yep. So back to you. What is your interest in the SCA currently?
Yes. uh, I sew a lot. I embroider. I am learning to spin. I weave, not particularly well, but I do it. Uh, I enjoy archery. I am a junior rapier marshal. I love cooking. I have not gotten to the point yet where I can figure out a whole lot of the period recipes without a translation, but I'm getting there.
Translation programs are so much fun because they're not always right.
Well, not to mention, and add sugar for it pleaseth the Lord is not a real good measure.
I don't know. I think that because when I make my blackberry cobbler, I do the same thing till it pleases me. Now, quick story, I once made pumpkin pie. Now, I enjoy cloves. I basically turned it into a clove pie. I was the only one who ate it.
How long was it until you could feel your tongue again?
Um, it took a while for me to get that back, but it was most worth it. But that was just me. And sugar is the same thing. So unfortunately, you're right. What is good for the goose is not necessarily always good for the gander. So yeah, yeah, that's kind of an interesting. As it pleases the Lord. Enough of this. It's like yeah. I don't know if you remember Graham Kerr when he would put wine in his he was a TV chef back before all the stuff that's going on now, and yeah, it was a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, Anyway, so yeah, it's as it pleases as it pleases. Sometimes it's not always the best, but anyway, go on. What else?
Um, I just have a general interest in history. I love reading about it. Um, I've discovered the great courses on audible.com and
Ooh,
have been just going through those like nobody's business. Currently working on the Ottoman Empire because I didn't know anything about it, so I figured I should fix that. Um, I enjoy traveling, so going to far-flung events is always fun. Planning on going to Penzic 50
now you've been to Pensick, correct?
twice.
I have a huge envy. I have never been to Pensick.
Well, next year was supposed to be 50, but they've decided it is going to be 49. The year after will be 50.
Ah, interesting.
So you've got time.
I got time. So your interests are, as you said, what are my interests? You said yes. Now let's talk about your persona.
Okay. Um, I have a persona that is difficult to use the words of our society, diversity, equity, and inclusivity
As I
officer.
understand that, yes. So let's go into that.
My persona is 16th century Romany. I decided that I was going to take the opportunity to learn more about my heritage and play with it in the SCA.
Now you said Romani.
Yes,
I take it Romani is incorrect.
depends on where you're at. Uh, we're all over the world, and there are different inflections and different accents. And honestly, the language gets a little depending on where you are.
Okay.
Because when you have a traveling culture, you pick up pieces of local languages from where that group has been. and
Okay.
kind of rifle through their local language and see if it's got anything good in its pockets.
All right.
The
So
base language is the closest spoken language on Earth today to Sanskrit. It's kind of a strange cross between Sanskrit and Punjab.
interesting.
We originated in northern India, so
Northern India.
yes, northwest, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
My Indian geography is a little iffy, but
That's a pretty big area. And it was traveled a lot by
yes.
quite a few different nations here, there, and everywhere. So you're Romani, and your name, is that Romani as well?
I have seen it come up in books that are post-period, actually finding period documentation for a culture that was largely illiterate and highly suppressed is difficult. So I did the best I could. I found a name that worked post-period and was documentable in period in other cultures.
Okay. All right. Cool.
My last name is my husband's last name because I just was not going to try and fight with getting something approved. It was much easier to take his last name and call it good.
Excellent. That works. That works. Now, so Tamsyn is Romani, as
Like I
close
said,
as you can
post
get.
period, but in theory, pardon?
As close as you can get.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. And I may regret asking this, but why is it so controversial? The Romani culture?
Um, we're gonna fast forward post period for a minute, and in the country of Romania, in 1898, the last laws were passed abolishing the legalized slavery of the Romani people in
Right.
Europe.
Okay.
So people who were born as slaves, 35 years later, were being put on trains to Dachau and Auschwitz.
Ah, got it.
We
All right.
don't have a pretty history.
Okay.
We don't have we don't have the, oh, it's all Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Okay.
That honestly, a lot of people running around events in cabaret belly dancing garb going, but I'm a gypsy, don't understand. Honestly, I love the idea of Romney being an everyday persona, of not being othered. Because like I said, this is my heritage.
Right.
And my grandmother grew up in a wagon traveling the Midwest trading horses. I just want to see people put some time and some effort and some research into it and learn who we actually were as opposed to just playing the fantasy.
Sounds like, if I may throw a possible suggestion out there, that sounds like a good A&S project that you could, um, having spoken to Goran Dame Goran du Mamiganyan, who I dearly love and respect. Her own persona is as you it is her culture. It is her background, that of Armenian. And I know that her own heraldry harkens to that as well as her name. So maybe taking a page from her book, could do something similar. Because I for one, I uneducated. My persona is Russian, because I've been interested in the Russian culture. I've done some research on it because of my name, and because of my sergeantry trials. I did a background of where I am from, Novograd, and which I think I'm pronouncing incorrectly. I'm pretty sure I am. And that area. So I've done some research on it. I plan on doing more. My own heritage is Scotch Irish with Native American, and I've done some research onto that as well. So it sounds like a rabbit hole to go down, if I may say. So
I have been doing some studying. I've also been throwing around the idea of doing a persona class, which has mostly been met positively.
sweet.
I did have someone get very upset with me because it was it was another woman who is Romany, and she was very upset because it was, I'm not a LARP character. That is not what I want to do. And
Oh, I
we've been
see.
an isolated culture for a long time, and I think that the only way to fix that is through education.
Absolutely. As I was saying earlier, I think gypsies. Um, I'm thinking the old way that they were from Egypt, which I know now is incorrect, and that I do know that, fast forwarding during um, the 1900s, they were gathered up, and as well as many other individuals, other groups. So back to the SCA. So that's an idea for you. There you go. Now, do you have your heraldry?
I have it drawn up. I need to submit it.
Okay. I should have asked you if you could show us a copy of it, but that's okay. That was my bad. So you have it drawn up, but you haven't submitted. Can you give us a description?
If you want it in Herald speak, no.
No, not necessarily. No, not in herald speak, but could you give us a description?
It's divided diagonally with green and blue is the upper, with the wheel from the Romany flag in the upper, and then in the lower is a fleur-de-lis from my husband.
Oh, okay, excellent. All right, so you do have a little bit of your background there. Very cool, very cool. Let's talk really quickly about your husband. How long has he been playing?
He'd been to a couple of events before I met him, but I really started getting him a lot more active, so that'll be 14, 15 years.
Sweet. So because I know him by one name, I do not know his SCA name. What is his
Valentine.
SCA name?
Valentine L'Argent.
Valentine. I am horrible. I truly am. I am one of those individuals who I see somebody by their name, and that's what I usually go by. And so that's why, you know, it's sorry, Valentine. So he is French,
Yes.
and you are Romany. So you would have run into each other for sure back in the day. What's his interest other than hanging around with you?
He likes stabbing people.
Yes, he is a rapier fighter. Quite a good one, from what I understand.
He fought at Queen's Rapier this year, last event before the shutdown, and didn't win, but didn't come in last either. So
No. He equated the barony of the canton and you and himself quite well. So yes, kudos to Valentine. Now let's go on about Yule. Now this is why I am dressed suchly, and why I have my friend here. Is we are doing a little bit of a pre advertisement for promotion for Yule. So, Yule, tell us about our virtual Yule.
we're going to use our virtual Yule as kind of a preview for next year's Yule.
Okay.
My plan initially, before everything shut down, had been to take advantage of the year, because this year was the 500th anniversary of the Field of Cloth of Gold. So it was kind of a, what would that have been like if it had happened during the winter holidays? So we're keeping that because I like the idea, even if it is going to be a year off next year. And we're kind of playing around with it this year. The recipes that I'm posting are going to be a combination of English and French.
Ooh, English and French. So what? Give us a taste. What recipes are we looking at?
I have posted a pancake made with cottage cheese or maybe ricotta. You can try either one and see what works for you. There's going to be an apple bread pudding that I'm posting that I keep looking at going, ooh, I need to make that.
I love apple bread pudding.
There'll be a few others, but those are the two that I'm most excited about.
Okay, sweet, awesome. What else have we got going on at Yule?
Their excellencies are going to be sponsoring a table decorating contest. So while you are trying out all of your lovely period recipes, you can get Zoom up and running and show them how you've decorated the table, and there will be prizes. We're doing our annual charity donation, which everyone who donates for the charity at this point will be receiving a gift from one of our local artisans. We've got some amazing.
Really quick, I'm curious. Because I haven't figured this out yet, how do we donate money?
You send a check to the barony.
Okay.
And then everything will be divided up between a charity in Thurston County and one in Grays Harbor.
Now, when does is there a time when the check needs to be received by, or?
Preferably the beginning of December so that we can get the checks out to the folks who need them and so that I can get presents to people. If you want your presents on time, send your money.
So we only have, according to my calendar on the wall,
another week.
We only have a few more days left to do our entries into entries for Yule.
And there are some awesome presents, one of which is wrapped. So I just keep staring at it going, but I want to see what's in it. Thank you, Alexi.
Oh, cool. Can't wait for that one. And what else? Because if I'm not mistaken, there's also going to be some bardic things going on during.
Yes, there's going to be a social. There's going to be some bardic performances scattered throughout. Her Excellency is organizing that. Their second court will be premiered during the event.
Second court. Second virtual court.
Yes.
Okay.
First one was in September.
Yep. First one was in September. This one is our second. So we will get to see their excellencies in their splendor.
Correct. I understand they're making new garb for it.
Anything else that we got going on?
No, we're going to hang out and set up Zoom and talk to each other and enjoy each other's company while we eat.
I think that's going to be fantastic. Yes, absolutely. I was just part of Three Mountains virtual event as I judged a bardic competition, and then until my my computer decided to upgrade, I went to go get something to eat. I put my screen down, got myself up to eat, and came back to put my screen up, and it was like loading, and it said this will take time. And I'm like, okay, well, let's let it, this was at like 4 o'clock, and the next thing I know, it's 6:30 and it's still going. And I missed a lot of the social event that was going on, but I had gotten some socializing, and it was very awesome. It was very nice to see everybody, see people, talk to them virtually, and I think that we can do the same thing. It's not quite the same as getting together in person, but it's as close as we can get right now.
Right.
So.
Oh, everybody's crossing our fingers for next year.
Knocking on wood.
And doing the best we can with what we've got this year, so we're going to do it virtually.
Yep. I look forward to any time that we can do some hanging out. So there is that. Anything else, Lady Tamsyn?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's the first time I don't have to correct you on using that title.
Yes, you have your AOA. I look forward to you getting your anything else. I exceedingly look forward to that. But having said that, so yes, I am being reminded by my wonderful Her Excellency. Time to wrap up. So for Lady Tamsyn, and your last name again?
Largent.
Largent. So for Lady Tamsyn Largent, for myself is Lordship Volk the Grey, for my reindeer Ramon, I bid you all, Volk the Grey, bids you good night and good day.